The red warning lights filled every screen in Earth's main command center. Captain Hyunwoo Park stood on the bridge of the USC Indomitable, watching something that humanity had feared for generations. 70 massive alien warships appeared at the edge of the solar system, each one 5 times larger than Earth's biggest vessel. Hyunwoo's hands gripped the metal railing in front of him. He had trained for this moment his entire career, but nothing could prepare someone for actual first contact with alien life. The ships moved in perfect formation, advancing toward Earth like a pack of wolves surrounding prey. "Send the first contact message," Hyunwoo ordered. His communications officer nodded and activated the prepared transmission. It contained mathematical formulas, scientific data, and messages of peace in multiple formats. The message traveled across space toward the alien fleet. The response came 30 minutes later. But it was not what anyone expected. Instead of peaceful greetings or even hostile warnings, the aliens broadcast something else entirely. They showed images of Earth's defenses, marking each ship, each weapon, each orbital platform. Then they started laughing. The sound came through every speaker, a harsh clicking noise that made everyone on the bridge uncomfortable. A massive alien face appeared on the main screen. The creature had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern and skin that looked like dark metal. "Pathetic humans," the alien said through their translation device. "I am Fleet Commander Krelvax of the Vralthan Empire. We have conquered 417 worlds across 3 galactic sectors. You will be 418. Hyunwoo stepped forward. "We wish for peace. There is no need for conflict. Earth welcomes diplomatic relations with your empire." Krelvax made that clicking laugh sound again. "Diplomatic relations? Look at your defenses, human. 30 small ships. Primitive nuclear weapons. Simple kinetic cannons. We have analyzed your technology. You are children playing with toys. Some of your ships are modified mining vessels. This will not be a battle. This will be an extermination." The alien commander waved one of his long arms and new images appeared. They showed dozens of destroyed planets, burnt cities, and conquered populations in chains. "This is the fate of those who resist the Vralthan Empire. But we are not without mercy. Surrender within 72 hours and we will allow most of your population to live as servants. Resist and we will burn your world until nothing remains." The transmission ended. The bridge fell silent. Every person in the room knew what those images meant. Hyunwoo looked at his crew. Young faces, scared faces, but also determined faces. These were Earth's best and they would not surrender without a fight. "All ships maintain current positions," Hyunwoo commanded. "Begin radio silence protocols. Cut all external communications immediately." Across Earth and throughout the solar system, military installations went dark. Every broadcast stopped. Every communication channel fell silent. From space, it looked like humanity had simply given up, too terrified to even respond. On the Vralthan flagship, Krelvax watched the human silence with satisfaction. "They cannot even speak, they are so afraid. Begin the countdown. Prepare orbital bombardment patterns. We will make an example of this world." But Earth was not silent because of fear. In an underground command bunker in Seoul, hundreds of military leaders and government officials gathered for an emergency meeting. At the center of the room stood Ji-woo Choi, Earth's chief defense strategist. She was a small woman with short black hair and sharp eyes that never missed a detail. 70 Vralthan warships, Ji-woo said calmly, displaying the sensor data on the giant screen behind her. Each one equipped with plasma weapons, particle beams, and shield technology far beyond what we officially possess. They have scanned our defenses. They know about our 30 visible ships. They know about our nuclear weapons. They think they know everything. Admiral Sang-woo Kim, the oldest person in the room and Earth's supreme military commander, leaned forward in his chair. "Do they know about Protocol Phantom?" Ji-woo smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had been planning for this exact moment for decades. "No, Admiral. They see exactly what we wanted them to see. They have fallen for the oldest trick in human history. They think we are weak." She pressed a button and the screen changed. It now showed thousands of small objects scattered throughout Earth's orbit and around the moon. Most people would think they were space junk, old satellites, broken station parts, and abandoned equipment. But Ji-woo knew better. Everyone in this room knew better. "For 40 years we have been preparing for this day," Ji-woo continued. "Every nation on Earth agreed to one thing. If hostile aliens ever found us, they would probably underestimate us. So we created a disguise. We made ourselves look primitive. We kept using old technology publicly while developing new weapons in secret. We let space junk pile up around our planet, but that junk is not junk at all. She zoomed in on one of the objects. It looked like a broken solar panel from an old satellite. This is Defense Platform 7421. It contains a gravity manipulation device capable of bending space itself. There are 8,000 platforms like this surrounding Earth. The Vralthan sensors cannot detect them because they are designed to look completely dead and harmless. A younger officer raised his hand. But Chief Strategist, even with those platforms, can we really defeat 70 warships? Their technology is still more advanced than ours in many ways. Jiwoo nodded. Yes, their technology is more advanced. But we have something they do not have. We have been watching them for over 100 years. Since we first sent radio signals into space, we have been listening. We intercepted Vralthan communications. We studied their battles with other species. We learned their tactics, their weapons, their weaknesses. We designed our defenses specifically to counter what they do best. They are powerful, but they are predictable. They have conquered so many weak species that they have become arrogant. Admiral Sang-Woo Kim stood up. His voice was strong despite his age. Then we activate Protocol Phantom. We show them that humanity is not prey. We are predators who learn to look like prey. Send the orders to all defense stations. Begin activation sequence, but maintain power down status until the Vralthan attack. We want them fully committed before they realize their mistake. Jiwoo nodded and sent the encrypted orders. Across Earth's orbital space, 8,000 hidden weapons began their silent activation. Deep in the asteroid belt, another secret waited. 80 advanced warships built over decades in complete secrecy, powered by technology that Earth was not supposed to have. They received their orders. Stay hidden, stay silent, and wait. The 72-hour countdown began. The Vralthan fleet moved closer to Earth, arranging themselves in perfect attack formation. They broadcast their countdown across all frequencies, making sure every human could see their approaching doom. They streamed it as entertainment for their empire, showing the frightened primitive humans waiting for destruction. But in the command bunker, Jiwoo Choi watched the Vralthan fleet approach with calm eyes. In 72 hours, the Vralthan Empire would learn a lesson that would echo across the galaxy. Humanity was done hiding. The trap was set. Now they just had to wait for the predators to walk into it. The 72 hours passed slowly. On Earth, people watched the sky with fear and hope mixed together. They trusted their military, but the alien fleet looked unstoppable. News channels showed the massive Vralthan warships getting closer every hour. The ships were so large that they could be seen from Earth's surface as bright dots moving across the night sky. On the Vralthan flagship, Krelvac sat in his command chair with satisfaction. His 4 eyes watched the timer count down the final minutes. Around him, his officers prepared their weapons. They had done this hundreds of times before. Another primitive world, another easy victory. Commander, the human fleet is taking defensive positions around their moon, one officer reported. All 30 ships are moving into formation. Krelvax clicked his mandibles in amusement. 30 ships against 70. They still think they can fight. How entertaining. Target their largest vessels first. I want the humans to watch their flagship explode before we destroy the rest. The timer reached 0. Krelvax raised his arm and brought it down sharply. All ships open fire. Begin the cleansing. 70 Vralthan warships charged their weapons simultaneously. Plasma cannons glowed with deadly energy. Particle beam arrays hummed with power. The space between the Vralthan fleet and Earth lit up as thousands of energy weapons fired at once. It was enough firepower to destroy a small planet. But then something impossible happened. The space around Earth began to shimmer and twist. It looked like heat waves rising from hot ground. But this was in the vacuum of space where no heat waves should exist. The Vralthan weapons fired, their deadly beams crossing millions of kilometers in seconds. Everyone watching expected to see Earth's fleet destroyed instantly. Instead, the energy beams bent. They curved away from their targets as if hitting invisible walls. Some beams reflected back toward empty space. Others scattered into harmless light. Not a single shot reached Earth's ships. It was as if an invisible shield surrounded the entire planet. What is happening? Krelvax roared. Check the weapon systems. Why are our shots missing? His weapons officer frantically checked the displays. Commander, the weapons are functioning perfectly. Something is bending our fire. There is some kind of gravitational distortion surrounding the human planet. It is redirecting all energy weapons away from their targets. Krelvax's four eyes widened. Gravitational manipulation on this scale should be impossible for a primitive species. Scan for the source. Find whatever is creating this effect and destroy it. The Vralthan sensors swept across Earth's orbital space. At first, they detected nothing. Then slowly, one by one, thousands of objects began appearing on their screens. Objects that had looked like dead space junk suddenly showed power signatures. They were activating. In an orbital control station above Australia, Taemin Lee watched his displays with fierce pride. He was Earth's chief engineer for the orbital defense grid. For 30 years, he had helped build and maintain these platforms in secret. Now they were finally showing what they could do. All platforms reporting full power, Taemin said into his communication device. Gravity wells are stable. The Vralthan weapons cannot touch us. Taemin had studied gravitational physics his whole life. The platforms did not create shields. Instead, they created small gravity wells, tiny distortions in space itself. Energy weapons traveled in straight lines, but gravity bent space. By creating thousands of these gravity wells in the right positions, Earth had built an invisible maze. Any energy weapon fired at Earth would be bent, twisted, and redirected away. The Vralthan could fire all day and never hit anything. On the Indomitable, Captain Hyunwoo Park allowed himself a small smile. The first part of the plan had worked perfectly. All ships maintain positions. Let them waste their energy. Commander Borasong, report status on the Vralthan fleet. Borasong worked in the Stealth Reconnaissance Division. Her job was to watch the enemy and predict their moves. She studied the incoming data carefully. Captain, the Vralthan are confused. They are still firing, but they have stopped coordinating their attacks. They do not understand what is happening. Hyunwoo nodded. That was exactly what they wanted. Keep the enemy confused. Make them think Earth's defense was purely defensive. Do not reveal the real trap yet. Krelvax watched in growing rage as his fleet continued firing uselessly. His most powerful weapons could not even touch the human ships. Impossibly, the primitive species had technology that could stop the Vralthan Empire's greatest weapons. How was this possible? Commander, we are detecting power signatures from objects we previously identified as space debris, another officer reported. There are thousands of them. They are all active now. Then destroy them, Krelvax shouted. Target those platforms. If they are creating this gravitational field, eliminate them. The Vralthan fleet changed targets. Now they fired at the platforms themselves. But the platforms were small, numerous, and could adjust their gravity wells to protect themselves. Destroying them all would take hours, maybe days. And Krelvax was beginning to realize something terrifying. The humans had been planning this. They had prepared this defense specifically against Vralthan weapons. In the Seoul command bunker, Ji-Woo Choi watched the battle unfold exactly as she had predicted years ago. The Vralthan were doing exactly what her models said they would do. They were getting angry, making mistakes, losing their discipline. The Vralthan have never fought an enemy that studied them first, Ji-Woo said to Admiral Sang-Woo Kim. They conquer primitives who have never seen their weapons before, but we have watched recordings of their battles for decades. We know how they fight. We know they rely on overwhelming firepower. We designed our defenses specifically to make their greatest strength useless. Admiral Sang-Woo Kim looked at the tactical display. The Vralthan were now spread out, each ship trying to destroy different platforms. Their perfect formation was broken. They were scattered and frustrated. Is it time? He asked. Ji-Woo checked the positions carefully. The Vralthan fleet was now exactly where she wanted them, deep inside Earth's defensive grid, surrounded by gravity wells with their formation broken and their attention focused on the platforms. Yes, Admiral, it is time. Activate Phase 2. Across Earth's orbital space, the gravity well platforms began changing their configuration. They had been purely defensive until now, but they had another function. The same technology that bent energy weapons could also trap ships. The gravity wells shifted, creating invisible walls in space. The Vralthan ships suddenly found they could not maneuver properly. It was like trying to swim through thick mud. Commander, we cannot move freely. A Vralthan pilot reported with panic in his voice. Something is restraining our engines. Krelvax finally understood the trap. The humans had not just defended themselves. They had created a cage. His fleet was now trapped in Earth's orbital space, unable to maneuver, unable to escape, and still unable to land a single hit on the human ships. Full power to engines, Krelvax ordered. Break free from whatever is holding us. Activate faster-than-light drives. We need to retreat and regroup, but the faster-than-light drives would not activate. The gravity distortions made it impossible. The Vralthan fleet was stuck in normal space, trapped like fish in a net, and now finally the human ships began to move forward, not retreating, not hiding, advancing. Captain Hyunwoo Park stood tall on his bridge. For years, people had mocked Earth's primitive fleet. They had laughed at the converted mining ships and experimental vessels. But those people had not known the truth. Every ship in Earth's fleet had been built for one purpose: to fight enemies who thought they were superior. All ships, Battle Formation Delta, Hyunwoo commanded. Prepare to show the Vralthan Empire what humanity is really capable of. Target their shield generators. Let us teach them that underestimating Earth is a fatal mistake. The 30 Earth ships moved through the trapped Vralthan fleet like sharks through a school of fish. The real battle was about to begin, and for the first time in centuries, the Vralthan Empire was about to learn what it felt like to be the prey instead of the predator. The Vralthan fleet was trapped, but they were far from defeated. 70 massive warships still had their weapons, their shields, and their centuries of combat experience. Krelvax knew his fleet was in a bad position, but he refused to believe that primitives could actually defeat the mighty Vralthan Empire. All ships, ignore the platforms, Krelvax commanded. Focus all fire on the human vessels. If we cannot escape, we will destroy them first. Concentrate fire on their flagship. The Vralthan fleet obeyed instantly. All 70 ships turned their weapons toward the Indomitable. Even if they could not maneuver well, they could still shoot. Thousands of energy beams converged on Captain Hyunwoo Park's ship. The gravity wells bent some of the fire away, but not all of it. Some beams would get through. Brace for impact, Hyunwoo said calmly. His crew gripped their stations, preparing for the hit. But Hyunwoo was not worried. Earth ships had more surprises than just gravity manipulation. The energy beams that made it through the gravity wells hit the Indomitable's hull. But instead of exploding, the beams seemed to sink into the ship's surface and disappear. The hull glowed briefly, then returned to normal. The ship took no damage at all. Krelvax stared at his display in disbelief. Impossible. Our weapons have hit them directly. Why is there no damage? On the Indomitable's bridge, Hyunwoo allowed himself a genuine smile. Reactive armor working perfectly. Engineering divert the absorbed energy to our weapon systems. The reactive armor was another secret Earth technology. It did not block energy weapons. Instead, it absorbed them, storing the energy in special batteries throughout the ship. The more the Vralthan shot at Earth ships, the more power Earth had to shoot back. It was like trying to put out a fire by throwing gasoline on it. All ships, activate Hellstorm Protocol, Hyunwoo commanded. Target the Vralthan shield generators. Show them what humanity builds when we have time to prepare. On every Earth ship, cargo bay doors opened. What emerged looked like clouds of small metal insects. Millions of tiny objects, each no bigger than a human fist, poured out of the Earth vessels. They moved together in massive swarms, flowing through space like schools of fish. Ki Tae-yoon was the tactical weapons officer aboard the Indomitable. He had trained for 5 years to operate the nano-missile drone systems. Now, with his hands dancing across his controls, he guided millions of drones toward the Vralthan fleet. Swarm Pattern Alpha. All drones armed and tracking. Estimated time to target 30 seconds. The Vralthan detected the approaching swarms and opened fire. Energy beams tried to destroy the tiny drones, but there were too many of them. Destroying 1,000 drones barely made a difference when there were millions more coming. The swarm split and reformed, flowing around the Vralthan fire like water flowing around rocks. Each drone carried a microfusion core, a power source smaller than a coin, but powerful enough to create a significant explosion. Alone, one drone was harmless. But millions of them working together could tear apart even the largest warship. The first swarm reached a Vralthan cruiser. The ship's shields were designed to stop large, powerful attacks. They were perfect against energy beams and plasma cannons. But they were almost useless against millions of small physical objects. The shields flickered and strained, trying to stop the swarm. A few hundred drones exploded against the shield, but thousands more pushed through. The drones landed on the Vralthan hull and began burrowing. Their tiny drill heads, made of diamond-hard materials, cut through the alien armor. Within seconds, thousands of drones had penetrated the outer hull. Then they detonated simultaneously. The Vralthan cruiser exploded from the inside. Fire and debris blossomed in space. The ship broke apart, its hull splitting like an overripe fruit. Hundreds of Vralthan crew members died in seconds, never understanding what had killed them. One enemy ship destroyed, Kite reported, redirecting remaining drones to next target. Across the battlefield, the same scene repeated itself. Earth's 30 ships released swarm after swarm of nanomissile drones. The Vralthan shields could not stop them. Their point defense weapons could not shoot them all down. Their armor could not resist the diamond-tipped drills. One by one, Vralthan warships began exploding. In the Sol command bunker, a civilian scientist named Unji Nam watched the battle with tears in her eyes. She had invented the nanodrone technology 15 years ago as a theoretical project. The military had taken her designs and turned them into weapons. She had never imagined they would work this well. 18 Vralthan ships destroyed, an officer reported. 23 more heavily damaged. Our drones are exceeding all projected performance parameters. Jiwoo Choi stood beside Unji and placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. You saved humanity today. Your invention is working perfectly. Unji shook her head. I just designed small robots. You turned them into something the Vralthan could not defend against. That was brilliant strategy. Jiwoo smiled. We studied the Vralthan for decades. We knew their shields were designed for big attacks. We knew they conquered species that used traditional weapons. So we built something completely different, something they had never seen before. That is the human advantage. We adapt, we innovate. We learn from our enemies and build weapons they cannot predict. On the Vralthan flagship, Krelvax watched his fleet being torn apart. In less than 20 minutes, he had lost more than half his ships. The primitives had not just defended themselves. They were winning. They were destroying the pride of the Vralthan Empire without taking a single loss themselves. Commander, we must retreat, his second officer said urgently. We cannot win this battle. We need to warn the Empire about the human capabilities. Krelvax tried to activate the faster-than-light drive again. Nothing happened. The gravity wells still trapped them. We cannot retreat. The humans have caged us. They planned this entire battle. They knew exactly what we would do. Another Vralthan ship exploded on his display. Then another. His fleet was dying, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. For the first time in his long military career, Krelvax felt real fear. The humans had completely outmaneuvered him. Captain Hyunwoo Park watched the Vralthan fleet crumbling. Part of him felt satisfaction. These aliens had come to destroy Earth, to kill billions of humans, to conquer and enslave. They deserved what they got. But another part of him felt sad. War was always terrible, even when it was necessary. Captain, the Vralthan fleet is trying to scatter, Bora Song reported, but they still cannot escape the gravity wells. They are trapped, and they know it. Hyunwoo nodded. It was time to end this. All ships prepare for final assault. Target remaining Vralthan vessels, but scan for life pods. If any Vralthan try to surrender or evacuate, allow them to do so. We are not here to commit genocide. We are here to defend Earth. The Earth Fleet advanced through the debris field that had once been the mighty Vralthan Armada. More swarms of nanodrones launched. More alien ships exploded or broke apart. The few Vralthan vessels still functional began launching escape pods. They had finally accepted that they had lost. Krelvax sat in his command chair, watching his empire's dreams of conquest die around him. 35 of his 70 ships were completely destroyed. 20 more were heavily damaged and unable to fight. Only 15 ships remained functional, and they were surrounded by human vessels and trapped by invisible gravity walls. This is Captain Hyunwoo Park of the UESC Indomitable. A voice came through the communication system. Vralthan fleet, you are defeated. Power down your weapons and prepare to receive our terms. Any ship that attempts to fight will be destroyed. Any ship that surrenders will be treated fairly under Earth's laws of war. Krelvax looked at his officers. They all looked back at him, waiting for orders. But what orders could he give? They were beaten. The primitives had crushed them using technology and tactics the Vralthan had never imagined. If he ordered his remaining ships to fight, they would all die. If he surrendered, at least some of his crew might survive. It was the hardest decision of Krelvax's life. But he was a military commander first. His pride mattered less than the lives of his crew. With 4 hands shaking slightly, he reached forward and pressed the button to power down his weapons. "This is Fleet Commander Krelvax," he said slowly. "The Vralthan fleet surrenders to Earth. We request quarter under your laws of war." Across the battlefield, the remaining Vralthan ships powered down their weapons. The battle was over. Earth had won. Not just won, but won decisively without losing a single ship or a single life. The impossible had happened. A species the aliens had called primitive had defeated one of the galaxy's great empires. The silence after the battle felt strange. For hours, space around Earth had been filled with weapons fire, explosions, and radio signals. Now there was only quiet. Debris from destroyed Vralthan ships floated in the darkness. Escape pods drifted slowly, their emergency lights blinking. Earth's fleet surrounded the surrendered alien vessels, weapons ready but not firing. Captain Hyun-Woo Park stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the defeated Vralthan fleet. He felt tired. The battle was over, but his job was just beginning. Now came the hard part, dealing with prisoners, salvaging alien technology, and most importantly, sending a message to the rest of the galaxy. "Open a communication channel to the Vralthan flagship," Hyun-Woo ordered. "All frequencies. I want this broadcast sent across every Vralthan communication network we can reach. The entire Empire needs to hear this." The communication officer nodded and worked quickly. "Channel open, Captain. You are broadcasting to the Vralthan fleet, and we have tapped into their long-range communication network. The Empire will receive this message." Hyun-Woo took a deep breath. What he said now would shape humanity's future among the stars. He needed to choose his words carefully. "This is Captain Hyun-Woo Park of the United Earth Space Command. I speak not only to the defeated fleet before me, but to the entire Vralthan Empire. You came to Earth expecting an easy conquest. You called us primitive. You mocked our defenses. You promised to burn our world and enslave our people. But now your fleet is destroyed and you are our prisoners. I imagine you have questions. The most important question is this: how did a primitive species defeat the mighty Vralthan Empire?" On the Vralthan flagship, Krelvax listened to the human captain's words. He did have questions. Many questions. His empire had conquered hundreds of worlds. They had never faced a defeat like this. How had the humans known exactly what to do? How had they built weapons specifically designed to counter Vralthan technology? Hyun-Woo continued speaking. "For that answer, I will turn this broadcast over to our chief defense strategist, Ji-Woo Choi. She will explain something that your empire needs to understand. Humanity is not what you thought we were." In the Seoul command bunker, Ji-Woo Choi stepped in front of the communication camera. She looked calm and professional, like a teacher about to give a lecture, but her eyes were sharp, and every word she spoke was chosen for maximum impact. "Fleet Commander Krelvax, I want to answer your question directly," Ji-Woo began. "You asked how a primitive species achieved such technological sophistication. The answer is simple. We are not primitive, we never were. Everything you saw about Earth's defenses was a carefully constructed deception that took over 100 years to build." Krelvax felt his blood turn cold. 100 years? That was impossible. The humans had only achieved radio technology about 150 years ago. How could they have been planning for alien contact that long? Ji-Woo displayed a timeline on the broadcast. In Earth year 1915, humans first began sending radio signals into space. By 1960, our signals were strong enough to be detected from other star systems. We knew that if intelligent aliens existed, they might hear our broadcasts. Most humans assumed aliens would be peaceful. But some of us asked a different question. What if they are not? She changed the image to show old radio telescopes and early space programs. So we began listening. We pointed our most sensitive instruments toward the stars and we listened to everything. For decades, we heard nothing. Then, in 1987, we intercepted our first alien communication. It was a Vralthan military transmission, discussing the conquest of a species called the Noloth. We learned your language. We learned your tactics. We learned everything about you. The image changed again, now showing complex data streams and decoded messages. For the next 38 years, we intercepted thousands of Vralthan communications. We watched you conquer species after species. We studied your weapons, your strategies, your empire's culture. We learned that you are arrogant. You consider most species inferior. You expect easy victories. So we gave you exactly what you expected to see. Krelvax felt sick. Everything Earth had shown them was fake. The primitive weapons, the small fleet, the outdated technology. It was all a disguise. The humans had been watching the Vralthan Empire for decades, learning, planning, preparing for the day when the Empire would find Earth. Jiwoo's voice became harder. We deliberately kept using nuclear weapons and kinetic cannons publicly, even though we had developed much better technology. We let space junk accumulate around our planet, even though each piece was actually a hidden defense platform. We built our visible fleet from converted mining ships, while constructing our real military fleet in secret locations. Everything you saw was designed to make you underestimate us. And it worked perfectly. Admiral Sang-Woo Kim stepped beside Jiwoo. He was an old man, but his voice carried authority that made everyone listen. I have been working on Earth's defense plans for 43 years. When I was a young officer, we intercepted transmissions about the Vralthan conquest of the Kelmar species. The Kelmar had advanced technology, but they were peaceful and unprepared. The Vralthan Empire destroyed them in 3 days. We decided that would never happen to Earth. Sang-Woo Kim looked directly at the camera, as if staring into Krelvax's eyes. You made one fatal mistake. You assumed that because our visible technology seemed primitive, we were primitive. You never asked yourself why an intelligent species would use outdated weapons. The answer is simple. Because we wanted you to think we were weak. We wanted you to attack confidently, to commit your whole fleet, to get close to our planet where our hidden defenses would trap you. You did exactly what we predicted you would do. Hee-Jin Kwan, Earth's ambassador and first contact specialist, joined the broadcast. She spoke in perfect Vralthan language, which shocked Krelvax even more. How did a human speak his language so fluently? Commander Krelvax, we know you have conquered 417 worlds, Hee-Jin said in his own language. We have analyzed your tactics in every battle. You always follow the same pattern. You arrive with overwhelming force. You offer surrender terms. You attack the most visible defenses first. You rely on superior firepower and advanced shields. Your tactics have not changed in 200 years because they have always worked. Until today. Hee-Jin switched back to English, which the translation system converted for the Vralthan. We studied you for so long that we know your empire better than you know Earth. We know your weapons cannot penetrate gravitational distortions. We know your shields are optimized for large energy attacks but vulnerable to small physical projectiles. We know you have never fought an enemy that had time to prepare specifically for you. Everything about our defense was designed to counter your specific capabilities. The broadcast showed images of Earth's hidden construction facilities, secret shipyards in the asteroid belt, underground weapons factories, research stations on the dark side of the moon. While you were conquering primitive species across the galaxy, we were building the tools to defeat you. Every piece of technology you saw today was developed with one purpose: to stop the Vralthan Empire. Krelvax watched the images and felt his entire worldview crumbling. The humans had been planning this for longer than he had been alive. They had studied the Vralthan Empire like scientists studying insects. Every weakness, every pattern, every arrogant assumption had been cataloged and exploited. Jiwoo Choi appeared again on screen. Commander, you came to Earth with 70 warships. You thought that was overwhelming force. But we have been tracking your fleet since you entered our solar system 3 days ago. You never detected our stealth ships. You never knew they were there. Would you like to see them now? The space around Earth suddenly filled with new signals. Stealth fields deactivated and 80 ships appeared. These were not converted mining vessels. These were sleek, deadly warships built with advanced technology. They had been following the Vralthan fleet the entire time, invisible and silent. Captain Jinho Seo commanded the stealth ship Silent Blade. His vessel and 79 others had been shadowing the Vralthan since they arrived. At Jiwoo's signal, they revealed themselves. "This is Captain Jinho Seo of Earth's stealth fleet. We have been watching you for 3 days. We could have destroyed your fleet at any time. We chose not to because we wanted you to understand something important. Earth is not prey. We are predators who learn to disguise ourselves as prey." Krelvac stared at his display showing all the Earth ships, 30 visible vessels, 80 stealth ships, and thousands of hidden defense platforms. The humans had not just defeated his fleet. They could have annihilated it before the battle even began. Everything had been a demonstration, a message to the Vralthan Empire and the galaxy beyond. "We wanted you fully committed before you realized your mistake," Jiwoo said. "We wanted your empire to see this battle. We wanted every species you have conquered to know that the Vralthan can be defeated. We wanted the galaxy to understand that humanity is not another primitive world to be conquered. We are something new, something you did not expect. We are a species that prepares, that learns, that adapts." 3 days after the battle, Fleet Commander Krelvac sat in a holding room aboard the Indomitable. The room was comfortable, not like a prison cell at all. There were chairs, a table, even a window showing the stars. But Krelvac felt trapped in a way that had nothing to do with the physical space. He was trapped by the knowledge of his failure and the uncertainty of his future. The door opened and Captain Hyunwoo Park entered. The human captain carried 2 cups of hot tea and placed one in front of Krelvac. It was a gesture of hospitality that confused the Vralthan commander. "Why show kindness to a defeated enemy?" "Commander Krelvac," Hyunwoo said, sitting across from him. "Earth's government has decided your fate. You and your surviving crew will be returned to the Vralthan Empire. Your ships that can be repaired will be returned as well. We are not keeping prisoners or holding hostages." Krelvac's 4 eyes widened in surprise. "You are releasing us? Why?" "We came here to destroy you." Hyunwoo sipped his tea slowly before answering. "Because Earth is not interested in becoming like the Vralthan Empire. You conquer and enslave. We defended ourselves, but we do not want to become conquerors. Holding you prisoner would serve no purpose except revenge, and revenge is not a good foundation for the future. But we will return to the Empire and tell them everything about your defenses," Krelvac said. "We will reveal your capabilities. The Empire might send a larger fleet." Hyunwoo smiled. "We are counting on you to tell them everything. That is the entire point. We want the Vralthan Empire to know that Earth is not worth attacking. We want every species in the galaxy to understand that humanity is prepared. Your mission will not be to bring back more weapons. Your mission will be to bring back the truth. Earth is a friend to those who come in peace and a nightmare to those who come with conquest in mind." Krelvac processed these words carefully. The human was right. After seeing Earth's capabilities, no Vralthan commander would volunteer to attack them. The Empire might try eventually, but it would take years to plan and they would need overwhelming force. And by then, who knows what other surprises the humans would have prepared. "There is something I must know," Krelvac said. "Before the battle, I sent an encrypted message to the Empire. I told them not to engage Earth. I told them you were predators disguised as prey. Did you intercept that message?" "We did," Hyunwoo confirmed. "We chose to let it through. That message will reach the Empire before you do. It will come from you, a trusted fleet commander, not from us. It will be more believable that way." Krelvac shook his head slowly. Even in defeat, the humans were thinking several steps ahead. They had planned everything, including how to use him as a messenger. "You are more dangerous than any species I have encountered, not because of your weapons, but because of your minds." Meanwhile, in the Seoul Command bunker, Jiwoo Choi worked on something new. On her screen were plans for what she called Protocol Harmony. If Protocol Phantom had been about preparing for war, Protocol Harmony was about preparing for peace. It included guidelines for diplomatic relations, trade agreements, and mutual defense pacts with alien species. But she was also working on another file, one labeled Protocol Phantom 2. Because while Jiwoo hoped for peace, she would always prepare for the worst. Somewhere in the galaxy there might be species more dangerous than the Vralthan. Earth needed to stay ready. Admiral Sangwoo Kim entered her office. The United Earth Council wants to speak with you. There are decisions to be made about our next steps. Jiwoo saved her files and followed him to the council chamber. Inside, representatives from every nation on Earth waited. For the first time in history, humanity was truly united. The alien threat had brought them together in ways that nothing else could. Chief Strategist Choi, the council leader, began. Earth has won a great victory, but now we must decide what kind of galactic power we want to become. Some suggest we should use our technology to expand aggressively, to claim territory before other species do. Others say we should remain isolated, defending Earth but not venturing into the galaxy. What is your recommendation? Jiwoo stood and faced the council. We should do neither. Aggressive expansion would make us like the Vralthan, and isolation would waste the opportunity we have created. Instead, I recommend we become a beacon. We should offer protection to species threatened by empires like the Vralthan. We should share some of our technology with those who seek genuine alliance. We should build a coalition based on mutual respect, not conquest or fear. An older council member spoke up. But that would make us a target. Every aggressive species in the galaxy would see us as a threat to their expansion. They already see us as a threat, Jiwoo replied. Our victory over the Vralthan has been broadcast across their empire. By now, dozens of other species know about Earth. We cannot hide anymore, so we must choose. Be a threat that people fear, or be a power that people trust. I vote for trust. The council debated for hours. Finally, they reached a decision. Earth would pursue what they called defensive diplomacy. They would not seek to conquer, but they would defend any species that asked for help against aggressive empires. They would share defensive technology with allies, but keep their most advanced weapons secret. They would build a network of friendships across the galaxy, creating a coalition strong enough to deter attack. Across the solar system, young officer Subin Han worked in the communication center. She was the person who had broken the Vralthan encryption codes years ago, allowing Earth to read their messages. Now her job was different. She was sending messages to species that the Vralthan had conquered, telling them about Earth's victory. The responses came quickly. Dozens of enslaved worlds were rising in rebellion. They had seen what happened to the Vralthan fleet. They knew that empires could be defeated. Many of them sent messages to Earth asking for help, for protection, for alliance. On Earth's Lunar Defense Academy, a young cadet named Nari Kang watched the news broadcasts with excitement. She was only 18 years old, but she had already decided her future. The Academy was forming a new division called the Galactic Outreach Fleet. Their job would be to explore the galaxy, make contact with new species, and help any who needed protection from aggressive empires. Nari volunteered immediately. She wanted to be part of humanity's journey into the stars. She wanted to prove that humans could be not just warriors but also diplomats, scientists, and friends. The galaxy was vast and dangerous but also full of possibilities. 2 weeks after the battle, Captain Hyunwoo Park stood on the bridge of the Indomitable once again. This time the ship was not preparing for battle. It was preparing for a diplomatic mission. Hyunwoo would escort Fleet Commander Krelvax back to Vralthan space, not as a prisoner but as Earth's first ambassador to an alien empire. It is strange, Krelvax said, standing beside Hyunwoo. A few weeks ago I came here to destroy your world. Now you trust me to be an ambassador for peace between our peoples. Hyunwoo nodded. Trust has to start somewhere. You have seen what happens when species choose conquest over cooperation. You have experienced both the power of Earth's weapons and the mercy of Earth's values. You understand both why attacking us would be foolish and why allying with us could be beneficial. That makes you the perfect person to explain this to your empire. The Indomitable and 20 other Earth ships began their journey toward Vralthan space. It would take months to arrive, even with faster-than-light travel. During that time, Hyunwoo and Krelvax talked often. The Vralthan commander slowly began to understand human culture, human history, and human hopes for the future. He was surprised to learn that humans had spent most of their history fighting each other, but had finally united when faced with an external threat. We are not perfect, Hyunwoo admitted during one conversation. We have made terrible mistakes. We have fought wars, committed crimes, destroyed parts of our own planet. But we learned from those mistakes. We hope other species can learn from them too without having to repeat them. Back on Earth, things were changing rapidly. Ships from various alien species began arriving, Some came out of curiosity, wanting to see the species that had defeated the Vraltan. Others came seeking protection from empires that threatened them. A few came hoping to establish trade relationships. Jiwoo Choi worked tirelessly to establish protocols for all these contacts. Each species had different customs, different needs, different technologies. Building relationships with all of them required patience, intelligence, and flexibility. But it was working. Slowly, Earth was becoming a hub for those who believed in cooperation rather than conquest. 6 months after the battle, Admiral Sang-Woo Kim gave a speech to the United Earth Council. We stand at a crossroads in human history. For the first time, we are not alone in the universe. For the first time, we are part of a larger galactic community. The choices we make now will echo for generations. We can choose to be conquerors, isolationists, or partners. I believe we have already made our choice. We will be partners. We will help those who need help. We will defend those who need defense. We will share what we can and learn what we must. This is humanity's path forward.